Hello there, gang, and welcome to another episode of Displaying-Model-Behaviour, the Earth's mightiest action figure video podcast. So take off your pants, crack a beer, and let's talk toys. Let's talk about Desert Island Display. This is one of the favorite new shows that I've been doing recently. I get a real kick out of this, being able to talk shop with some of my favorite creators. And on the show today, it is the one and only Super Sorrell. Ash, welcome to the show.
Hey, dude, how you doing? You all right?
Dude, I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for coming over, joining me here at Model Behavior. Unfortunately, I've got some bad news. While you were flying over to Model Behavior Island, it was, you heard over the intercom, this is your captain speaking. It's Ryan Johnson here, and I'm about to subvert your expectations. You thought you were going to be landing at Model Behavior Island, but instead we're going to crash in the ocean. And fortunately, you were able to survive the crash. You washed ashore with 5 of your favorite desert island action figures. Ash, tell me, man, who is going to be your first action figure on your desert island display?
Right, so my first out of the 5, we'll start with this guy. Inigo Montoya.
Dude,
from McFarlane's range.
This is an instant surprise here. I
know.
Of all the figures you could have brought out, this was not something I was expecting.
I've been waiting years for somebody to go, Princess Bride's it actually got some good figures and stuff that could make out of it. This is the first time I've ever seen a Princess Bride action figure in my life. And I was a big fan of the film growing up. Exactly, yeah. And I was such a big fan growing up. And when they released the regular version, I was like, yeah, it's nice. But then they released this version, the bloodied up version. That's the bit you remember from the end of the film with his defiant stance of, you killed my father, preparing to die. So, it was one of my childhood memories more than anything. But definitely this has to come with me. He's a great little figure.
Fun. Yeah, because I've never really taken a close look at that. But do you have a full review on your channel as well?
Yeah, I've done the full review on it. It was sent to us by Zavi. And it's just, as soon as they said we're going to send you the Princess Bride stuff, I was like, yes, I'm all in. I'm all in.
That's terrific. And man, you get some good connections and hookups there, and this is lovely. And also I love the moral of his character arc in Princess Bride. Normally kids shows are like, ultimately you learn that revenge is not the answer. Princess Bride is like, no, revenge is definitely the answer. Yeah. He's like, I feel much better after this.
And the whole fight scene and on top of the castle part, with I can never remember the guy's name. Men in Tights actor.
No, he's a great villain, but yeah, I can't recall the name. But I'm sure McFarlane was thrilled watching that and seeing him get bloodied up at the end, and he thought, yes, bloody variant.
So yeah, it was one of them fight scenes when they're on top of the castle, and he's like, I give you my word as a Spaniard, and all the cheesy lines that just came from that film. And this is just pure nostalgia for me.
Oh, it's so great, because I haven't watched that for years. Now I want to go back and catch that again.
I grew up on a diet of 80s movies, so I'm a proper 80s nerd at heart.
That's so much fun, because yes, I remember his fight with Carrie. How do you pronounce Carrie Elwes? Carrie Elwes? Either way, the Dread Pirate Roberts. When their banter back and forth, and I'm also right-handed, or I'm also left-handed. It's like So good. So do you have the rest of that line as well?
Yeah, I've got the Dread Pirate Roberts, Andre the Giant's character, and they released the princess herself. They released the 4 so far, and the 2 bloodied variants. So I've got the full reviews on my channel. They're really good though. They're such cool figures.
Yeah, I would be very tempted to pick up Andre, just because he would actually fit in great with any kind of Mythic Legions type display, or any sort of medieval sword and sorcery fantasy kind of thing. That would be a really good call, actually. I think I just convinced myself to buy a figure.
But they did those WWE Hollywood figures or something that came out in America that I've never seen over here, and I'm surprised they didn't do an Andre from that. I know they did a couple from his films and stuff, but they never did the Princess Bride one. I'm guessing that's because McFarlane's got the license.
Yeah, I guess that must be it. It's interesting because that was a fun kind of line that WWE were doing, because they had, who else did they have? They had Roddy Piper from They Live.
Yeah, they had Roddy Piper from They Live. They did a Roman Reigns and Dwayne The Rock Johnson from Hobbs and Shaw. There were so many. John Cena from The Marine. They did a bunch of the WWE movie figures, like Kane from See No Evil was one of them.
Did they do a scene figure. I didn't know that was one.
They did so many because as soon as I saw that, I was like, that's going in my horror collection. But like, I just couldn't get hold of them over here for the love of money.
Man, that's cool because I didn't even know that they made that. So yeah, they must have not reached these shores at all. Oh, okay. Well,
it's like
now
it's like the new Walmart like He-Man inspired sort of wrestling figures they're releasing. The WWE Superstars, I think it's called. Yeah. They're not even released over here. They're Walmart exclusives, and they're really cool. I had one sent over from Orlando. I've got Hollywood Hulk Hogan with the NWO belt, and it's such a cool figure. Yeah,
because you do branch out a bit into WWE and wrestling figures as well, don't you?
I do a bit of everything.
Bit of dabbling.
Yeah, so I did that thing. I think you went through the same thing not that long ago. I kind of had that crisis moment of I'm collecting too much, and I'm doing it because I've got a YouTube channel and I'm reviewing things I'm not keeping and I don't enjoy it. So started to scale back a little bit, and now I'm still collecting a bit of everything, but only things that I actually want in my collection, not feel pressured to buy something just to review it.
That's what you got to do, and then when you do the reviews, you have a bit more passion for them because it's stuff that you really want to get your hands on. All right, dude, that's a fantastic entry for number 1. So what is the next one we have for our desert island display?
Conan the Barbarian by Super 7.
Man, I'm getting a nice little bit of theming as well here. So we're kind of keeping it bit of sword and sorcery. I wasn't able to place where that was from at first. I recognized Conan, but I didn't know that was a Super 7. He's a good looking
Super
figure.
7. Yeah, 7 inches. I was hoping it was going to scale well with Marvel, to be honest, so I could make the Savage Avengers, but it was far too big by comparison. Wolverine looks tiny. Like very tiny.
Yeah, you're gonna have to get out a mortgage and get the Mezco Conan, or yeah, goodness only knows how much that one costs right now. But Super 7, he looks really nice. Yeah. I've never had a Super 7 in hand, but they do look the business.
Yeah, I am slowly getting into Super 7 a lot more. I've got a lot of the Disney ones down there to still review, and they're nice as well. But yeah, this Conan, it's Conan. It's Conan. It was one of the things like, again, the Arnold film, but I didn't like the Arnold figure that Super 7 made. So I went for the more classic comic book accurate sort of version.
Yeah, he definitely has those slightly more cartoony features that kind of make him pop out and bring him to life a little bit more. That looks really nice. Is this quite a modern one? Was this released?
Yes, this came out a few years back. It came out at the same time as the Toxic Crusader. It came out around
I know the one. Yeah,
and he came with about what 10 accessories. It came with a bunch of weapons and then all blooded variants of the weapons as well.
Oh, so, that's fun.
Yeah, so you can have like either with a clean sword or with the blood-stained sword, which is just awesome.
That's terrific. Do you have particular nostalgia for Conan? Like, did you watch the Schwarzenegger movies? And is that kind of where this came from?
Yeah, the movies and the comics. My dad used to get me the comics when I was a kid. We used to always go to there was like a game store in our area that did a bit of everything. It was like games and comics, and I used to be, I was attached to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles machine in the corner, tapping B button ridiculously. My dad would be like, "Hey, look, comic books." I'm like, "Yeah, in a minute."
Yeah, I'll be right with you.
Yeah, I was like 5 or 6. He'd just buy me a bunch of them, and then I'd go home and read them. So once I got home, I'd then be stoked. But yeah, like Conan was one of the ones he'd always pick up because he liked the Conan sword and sorcery kind of books as well and stuff like that. So
yeah, that looks really nice. With the Super 7, I can see it is the articulation a little bit more limited. I see it's like single jointed elbows. What are
so yeah, single jointed elbows, single jointed knees. You can move him out of there. He's got a bit of movement there and stuff, pretty decent. But feet are on rocker and pivot, bicep.
Okay.
Yeah, about the same as
a bit of articulation going on there.
You've got the crunch there as well. But yeah, he's all right. He's not got as much articulation as like the modern Marvel Legends now. They've sort of surpassed Super 7 a little bit now with some of the other double hinges and things. But,
yes.
You can still get him in pretty much any pose you want.
He looks really decent. Did they release any other figures in that line? Well, in the Conan line, it's just him on his lonesome.
So they made him, and then they went and made all the Arnold Schwarzenegger film versions, same as how they did like He-Man. Yes. They released like all the He-Man figures, well, didn't they? Like, all the movie ones. So they never bothered making any others. But I've been thinking recently about getting the McFarlane's horse, from Witcher.
Yes, of course.
It's a black horse. I'm thinking that'll probably work with his scale. So I'm gonna have a go at that as well soon.
Maybe that's something that Hasbro could put in with the HasLab. It's just flames that go on a horse. They're not going to give us a horse, but they're like, look, we know there are horses out there, okay? Not naming any names, but these would fit on a horse you might happen to buy, but that's just me spitballing there. Awesome. So dude, we got 2 sword and sorcery type characters. This is kind of nice. We're off to a good start. Who's number 3? What are we looking at? Man, you're gonna have to help me out here. This is Star Wars sequel trilogy.
This is Star Wars. No, it's not sequel. This is Star Wars. You're right on that. But this is DJ Rex. So in Disney World and Disneyland, they made a ride years ago called Star Tours, which is a simulator, and there was a pilot called Pilot Rex. He was the captain in the cockpit, and it was voiced by Pee Wee Herman's actor. And over the years, the ride then changed, and C-3PO became the new would-be pilot and things like that. And he went off on adventures with the original trilogy cast. So he was kind of decommissioned. And Disney, being Disney, made a story that his ship crash landed on Batu, which is Galaxy's Edge.
Right.
And he was basically taken by a bunch of Jawas and rebuilt into a DJ robot that is the DJ in the cantina now.
Oh, that's really fun. I do love, Disney. For me, they've been a little hit and miss with the Star Wars franchise, but sometimes when they do these little deep cuts of franchise lore and they show a lot of kind of dedication and reverence to some of the things that came before, little stuff like that, that's really quite cute, actually. So you've been to Galaxy's Edge.
Oh yeah, I've been. I wish I really spoiled now. Over the years, with me and my wife, since we met, we've been to Disney about 15 times now.
Wow, that's really quite something.
I know. So I'm a massive Disney Parks nerd, and anytime they release their own things like this, which is like their own character, I think that's really cool. And the fact that Black Series gave us an actual figure of him was just really cool.
Yeah, that's lovely. It's a cute. I do love the Star Wars robot designs when they go for the less human-looking things, where it's just kind of quirky and looks like something that does come out of a 1970s idea of what the future might look like.
Yep.
That's a really fun sort of retro kitsch sort of thing going on there. So I got to ask, what is your assessment of Galaxy's Edge? Because I've not been, but it does look like.
It's beautiful. Most people, like, were saying to me before I went, like, dude, you'll see the Millennium Falcon and you'll have a little mini breakdown inside because it's the Millennium Falcon. It's your childhood. I didn't. I got there, I was like, oh, maybe I'm not a bigger fan as I thought. I'm not getting emotional at the Falcon. It was sounds thing when we went into one of the rides. It's called the Rise of the Resistance, where you're taken aboard a Star Cruiser, and you basically come like the ship gets taken over by the First Order. And when the doors open, there's an actor that comes in all dressed in black with the hat and everything like this, the proper Imperial officer suit. He's like, right, come with me, you're going to your detention center. And the whole thing is in character, and they don't break character once.
Oh, that's terrific. I love that, the interactive stuff with the performers.
Yeah, and you exit into a room which is a life-size version of a Star Cruiser hangar with a screen that's massive in the distance that's showing you the fight going on outside with all the Rebel Alliance ships getting destroyed and stuff. And there's this moment where they play that like you feel the hopeless music kicking of you've been captured. And there's about 300 Stormtrooper animatronics that are just lined up like that, and then occasionally they'll turn their head to look at you and look away, things like that.
That's
the detailing is
crazy.
And it was at that moment that I was like, oh my god, I'm in the middle of a Star Wars adventure. Like you're in the middle of it.
Okay, I'm sold.
Yeah, if you go online and watch the Rise of the Resistance like POVs, the amount of effort that Disney has put into that is insane.
Yeah, that's definitely one for the bucket list, because I am still a Star Wars fan at heart. I rag on Star Wars all the time, but I grew up absolutely adoring that. So if they can put you into that world the way that they do, I'm going to be so taken by that. I assume. The cantina.
I was going to say the cantina.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing for me is everyone goes on about it. It was great, but I think Disney could do more with it being Disney. They need some live actors in there that are like, even if it's just like Boba Fett walking around, looking around, or just some random NPCs sort of thing that are just like in there with you in character, just to bring it to life a little bit more. Like if you approach the bar, you really want someone to go, I don't like you. He doesn't like you either.
That's
want things like
exactly
that.
what I was thinking. Yeah, my friend doesn't like you.
Even if it's just a bar staff that just play in character with you rather than put like, I think that would just bring it to life a lot more.
Yeah, for me, I love theme parks and roller coasters and whatnot, but it's more the immersion. I absolutely dig that. Rather than spending hundreds of millions on a roller coaster, spend a fraction of that on getting some really, really good interactive performers. Because, man, then again, having been an interactive theme park performer, I will admit that a roller coaster would probably be easier for management to deal with. But still, that's something that I absolutely want to get onto because, yeah, it looks amazing. So thanks for planting that seed, gang. All right, man, we're trucking along, but these are really, really outside the box suggestions, and I dig it. So what's number 4 for the desert island?
House of Thousand Corpses, Captain Spaulding.
Jeez, man, just when I think you're going to go left, you go right. Just when I think I know the answers, you change the questions. This is bonkers. Bit of Rob Zombie action going on here.
I'm a big horror nerd at heart, and House of Thousand Corpses was one of those films like it felt very 80s when it came out. It felt very old school horror when Rob Zombie made this.
Very Grindhouse.
Yeah. And when we went to HorrorCon a couple of times in Sheffield, we were very lucky to meet Sid Haig twice before he passed away.
Man.
So he's such a cool guy. Like hearing his story where he said he started out as an extra in Batman and Robin from the 1960s. It's like, that is insane. That's where he came from.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
He was one of the henchmen for King Tut.
Oh, that's so much fun. And yeah, that's a crazy figure.
Yeah, he always had time for fans and stuff, and I really like that about him. And the character in the film was always just mental in it.
Yeah, I always found Rob Zombie very hit and miss, but I always loved seeing him on screen. He's got just entertaining bones. He's just charismatic whatever he's doing. So this one was from House of a Thousand Corpses. Who makes this figure?
So this one is NECA. This is part of the 8-inch retro clothesline. So they've got all cloth goods on it. They did release a bunch of other like regular style NECA figures when the film first came out, but you cannot get hold of them for the love of the money now. I mean, this guy cost me a small fortune because I bought this after Sig Haig passed away. So this cost me a small fortune, but definitely worth having in the collection. Oh yeah, definitely worth having in the horror collection. When you look at the shelf and stuff, it's like, yeah, you need a Sid, you need a Captain Spaulding in there.
Oh, absolutely. And NECA are so good with their likenesses, with their movie recreations. That's their absolute like sweet spot that they do so well. This guy, he looks phenomenal. I remember watching House of a Thousand Corpses quite recently. It was the first time I ever saw it. And I remember Dwight Schrute from The Office being in there. I was like, Dwight, what are you doing in this movie? But it is Rob Zombie's kind of hit and miss for me because the movies are so nasty, but they're really kind of fun too. And yeah, Captain Spaulding, man, he looks absolutely awesome. Do you have any other sort of, is he your favorite horror character that you've got, or do you have quite a...
See, I've got to save my favorite horror character for number 5.
Oh, okay, okay, we're going to move on to that one later.
But yeah, no, I chose this guy just because when I was like, it was like, what was it? This was like one of the first like proper gore fest movies that I ever sat through in the cinema, and I was about 14 and definitely should not have been there. And yeah, managed to sneak into a cinema to see it, and yeah, I was hooked. And yeah, me and my would-be girlfriend at the time sat through this film, and she's just like, "What have you brought me to?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's like a snuff movie."
Oh, that's so funny. Actually, one of my first date with my now ex-wife, not because of Rob Zombie, but it was the Rob Zombie Halloween movie, and I was like, half an hour in, I was thinking, this is a terrible first date movie. Thanks, Rob Zombie. But he still has a certain charm.
The Captain Spaulding figures, they've released one recently, which I've still got to review. I'm doing it next month, obviously, for Halloween. They've released the Captain Spaulding, and it's like, like the old school figures that you push the legs together and like something would happen. Oh, yeah, so the Trick or Treat Studios have made it where you pull his legs together and he pulls his gun up. Or he's got like a piece of fried chicken he can put in his hand and he eats it, and things like that. It's like that is fun. It's like proper old school action figure.
Yeah, it's taking sort of the old kind of. I don't think He-Man had those effects, but yeah, I know it's like you mentioned that sort of toy action, and you think, yeah, of course, no, I remember that. So it's great that they're taking that and then subverting it into a horror format for adult collectors now. That's awesome. Actually, out of interest, before we move on from that, favorite Rob Zombie movie that he's done, because he's done a lot. Tough call.
It is a tough call, but House Thousand Corpses is one of my favorite. But I think Devil's Rejects, the sequel, was a little bit more together. I like the fact that they're on the run and stuff like that, and I really enjoyed that film. That's a great movie.
It is. I popped for seeing Diamond Dallas Page pop up in that. It's a really fun, random, bonkers cast. And once you know what you're getting when you go into a Rob Zombie film, then you can really enjoy it. Like, amazingly, I actually really like his Halloween movies now, because I know they're not Halloween. They're like they're not Michael Myers. They're their own thing. And if you take it as that, you can actually have a really fun time with them.
But yeah, the ridiculous shootout at the end of Devil's Rejects, where they must take about 50 bullets each before they go down. It's just insane.
Yeah, that's a really good, fun, bonkers time. Right, dude, we're plowing along, but we got some fantastic ones here. So we're on to number 5, I think. What is your best figure to take with you?
I was gonna say, like, some honorable mentions. I was sort of looking around my room and going through, like, I think people would have been expecting like 5 Star Wars figures from me or something, but
honestly, that's kind of where I was going. I thought, well, he's the Star Wars man, yeah.
Whilst I love Star Wars, I've always found that I love Black Series, love collecting them, but the comparison to other lines, I think there's better action figures out there, and that's what upsets me about it, because I love Star Wars, but the figures could be better.
Yeah,
that's
my
issue.
This is your desert island display, so it has to be the creme de la creme ones that you want to take with you. So, do you have these honorable mentions just to bring up?
So like there was like I was looking through my box here and I was like, Cyborg Spider-Man with the metal arm. I was like, I had that figure as a kid, and now they got a re-release version. Like, I do love that one, but the Marvel figures weren't Desert Island worthy for me. Then I don't. Other than a few figures in there's not much nostalgia in that for me massively. I grew up, like I say, I grew up on much more of a diet of like fantasy and horror, and sort of like 80s inspired stuff. So when I started doing Marvel on my channel, it was because it was the big thing at the time. We had that big arc of Thanos and everything going on when I started.
Right.
And so I got into the collecting of the MCU stuff, then into the comic book stuff, and then everyone's like, "Oh, you need to get all these other figures." I'm like, I felt trapped. I was like in this little bubble of, I like Marvel, but not this much.
Yeah, that's a lot of Marvel.
There's a lot of figures in Marvel Legends to collect. So yeah, the like Werewolf by Night will always be one of my favorite in the of the Marvel figures. The Toy Biz Werewolf by Night, it still holds up to this day. It's beautiful. And I think you'll know which other Marvel figure I always talk about. Again, it's Toy Biz, but it's Hope Summers. Hope Summers, they've never recreated her. She's such a great figure still. They've never recreated her. I managed to get you to submit back in years ago when we did that 50 action figures list or whatever it was, 100 action figures.
Oh man, gosh, that is a deep cut from the archives,
isn't it? And I managed to make you put her quite high up on the list, even though she should not have been there.
That was a good one. I might have to put a link to that in the description, because Super Sorrell and we had a great collaboration about a year and a half ago, a long time ago when I first started, and we were debating the top 50 action figures of all, top 50 Marvel Legends, I think, of all time. That was great. Okay. It
started out with good intention and just turned into us discussing our favorite characters.
Absolutely. It was a good time had by all, I think. So hopefully I'll remember to do that. Check the link in the description below. All right, that's do we have any more honorable mentions?
No, I was going to say straight on to number 5 now.
Let's do it. What have we got?
Sam.
Fantastic choice. Yes, I completely approve of this. Dude, tell us about this figure.
So, Sam from NECA, this is the ultimate Sam. I literally collect everything. You can see the others up there. I've basically now got every single Sam action figure ever released, including the ridiculously overpriced reaction figure that's on cardback. And it's the one figure I've never opened. It's still on cardback. Because it's just... Nobody knows about this film. For some reason, nobody knows about it. It's
so
such
under
a
the radar.
Classic. Yeah. But every Halloween, I can't help but put this film on. And Sam, obviously, is Sam Hayden, or how I would pronounce it. He's the spirit of Halloween. And if you don't celebrate Halloween properly, he comes and gets you.
I love it. He's such a fun, cool, ridiculous design. I dig it so much. And yes, that movie, Trick or Treat, Trick or Treat. It feels like a long episode of like Tales from the Crypt or something, or three Tales from the Crypt stories mashed together, and it's fun. Yeah, great Halloween movie. And this figure,
it's a great collaboration sort of cast and ensemble cast, and it's like before doing that kind of film was popular, they did that. You know, it's like nowadays, like with Love Actually and all these random films that are based on like New Year's Eve and things like that. They're kind of like it's like that back in the day, wasn't it? Like he made that film years ago. All these stories that intertwine and connect at the end, kind of thing. But
that's it, because it was made a while ago, and you see actors who went on to other things that were made this before. Because I think Anna Paquin is in it. I think. Yeah, so you got Rogue in there, and there's a few others you'll see and go, hang on a second. But yeah, the Sackboy design is so cool, and NECA captured that so well. And he's got a bunch of, if I recall, alternate heads and looks and things. So
yeah, you've got like 3 heads, one of which is his sort of pumpkin head underneath the burlap sack. He comes with his lollipop. He has a little bag that he carries around. You can change out the. He's got one that's got like an open mouth jaw, so you can make him bite things and stuff. It comes with the candy bar with the razor blade in it.
Yes. Like that is. I'm a huge fan of just Halloween season, the holiday, of course, and that movie just takes every trope and idea and story, and it's a perfect Halloween movie. So yeah, I completely give a thumbs up to that for the #1 selection there. Dude, you've gone really outside the box with these choices.
Yeah, so he's definitely my #1 sort of film of all, like horror film of all time. But yeah, all these characters, they sort of make up like what I consider like the nostalgia childhood of like everything that I kind of like hold dearest. So you've got a bit of Star Wars, a bit of fantasy, a bit of horror, a bit of sorcery and magic.
And that's really
my
interesting.
Childhood in a nutshell.
Yeah, and it's full on. It completely shows your movie choices and selections as a kid growing up. Because yeah, I just twigged. It's 5 movie figures here, so the comic books don't get such a look in. But man, that's like half of that. I feel like I'm walking through a blockbuster right now, which is just a great sort of flashback there, dude. That's awesome, man. Thank you so much. I said this was going to be about a half hour. This is a nice tight half-hour desert island display, man. You got some good ones there. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this, dude.
No worries, man.
And before we go and sign off, please, gang, I mean, everyone knows Super Sorrell, man. You're one of the first reviewers that I saw, and I was like, hey, I can get into this reviewing thing. This looks like fun. But tell anyone who might not be familiar where to find you, what you do, what you're all about.
So yeah, you can find me on YouTube or TikTok these days, and Instagram under the handle Super Sorrell. I do a bit of everything: horror, action, as you can see, fantasy, Marvel, Star Wars, a bit of everything. And I review action figures each and every single day of the week.
So go check it out. All right, I'm going to sign off here, but I'm going to keep you on the line so I can say goodbye to you properly. But everyone watching, thank you so much. And until next time, keep displaying model behavior.
Hey there, Billy. What's wrong? Look around you. The sky's gray, it's raining, everything just is lame. It's stupid and lame. Hey there, kids. Complaining about stuff isn't going to solve your problem. You need to be proactive about changing your life. And that means joining the Model Behavior Patreon. Have you done that yet? Aw, man, I can't believe I hadn't thought of doing that. Exactly. You see, just mentioning the Model Behavior Patreon made the skies turn blue and everything seem less lame. Man, joining the Model Behavior Patreon really is magic. That's right. When you join the magical Model Behavior Patreon, everything just becomes awesome. The Model Behavior Patreon might not make everything awesome,